Hello, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Epidemic, and I am the host, leader, and grandmaster teacher of the Black Evolution series. And today's series is going to be called The Unseen Hand. I'm going to prove without a shadow of doubt that for the longest time, people have been controlled and manipulated by the powerful elites, by the unseen hand. It's your boy Epidemic. Let's get into this amazing topic. Here we go. So, as I mentioned earlier, my name is Epidemic, and I'm your host, your leader, and your grandmaster teacher of the Black Evolution series, where I talk about topics that no one would ever dare talk about. Quick side note, apologize for the hiatus. I have been busy taking care of business and helping and leading the people. But I'm going to tell y'all a certain topic, a series called The Unseen Hand, where I talk about things that no one knows and no one has seen. For this is The Unseen Hand. I'm going to cover topics that will blow your mind. I'm going to prove that for the longest time, we as black people have been controlled, manipulated, and steered to go down a certain path. A path toward destruction and a path towards unrighteousness. The first topic I'm going to talk to y'all about is the war on drugs. Some of y'all may think the war on drugs was about law and order and trying to stop the drugs from coming in. But the truth of the matter is, the war on drugs was really and unequivocally a war on black people. I'm going to say it again for y'all. The war on drugs was a war on black people. Don't believe me? Good. I'm about to prove it to y'all. And I'm also proving to y'all the truth about crack cocaine, how the government put crack cocaine within our community. So, I'm going to prove to y'all the first thing about the war on drugs, how it was really a war on black people. I have an article from CNN that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the war on drugs was really and unequivocally a war on black people. This is coming from Richard Nixon's top advisors, a key figure in a Watergate scandal. This is coming from CNN, the article from CNN. This is what the Richard Nixon's advisor, John and Lichman, had to say about the war on drugs. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. Former Nixon domestic policy chief John and Lichman told Harper's writer Dan Ballum for the April cover story published Tuesday of that year. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities, and Lichman said. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know that we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. So, ladies and gentlemen, that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the war on drugs, this is from Richard Nixon's own advisor, top advisors, mind you, stating that the war on drugs was really a war on black people. This was designed to keep us subservient and to keep us under control so they could destroy our leaders, disrupt our movements, and disrupt our meetings, and vilify us on the evening news. Now, I'm also going to share with y'all a clip from Mr. Gary Webb, a journalist who reported about the CIA and about how the CIA funneled crack cocaine into the black community to fund an illegal war with the Nicaraguan Contra scandal. So it's the CIA, crack, and the Contra scandal. You're going to hear from Mr. Gary Webb himself. That proves without a shadow of a doubt that the CIA had something to do with the crack cocaine epidemic and that they were funneling drugs within the United States. So let me show you this video of Mr. Gary Webb, and I'm going to get back and ready to react. Here we go. Let me show y'all this video.
The last series of investigative stories I did for mainstream journalism was a series called Dark Alliance, which I wrote for the San Jose Mercury News in 1996. And what Dark Alliance was about was a story about drug trafficking in the ghettos of Los Angeles and who was bringing the drugs in, and the fact that the American Central Intelligence Agency was indirectly profiting from this drug trade and knew about it and did nothing to stop it. And what my story's main point was that it was this drug activity at that point in time that kicked off the crack epidemic in the 1980s. So that was a three-part series. We had a website, and it kicked up a shitstorm.
Excellent. So what was that shitstorm?
Well, I think the first revelation was that that crack happened in South Central LA for a very specific reason, rather than what was currently thought was that crack just happened everywhere at once and it was just black people and they couldn't say no. And what my story showed was that the cocaine that was being sold in those neighborhoods was coming from mainly one source, and this one source was being used to finance a guerrilla war in Central America. And we showed it very conclusively that that was the case. And a lot of people, a lot of newspapers, then drew the conclusion that we were accusing the CIA of touching off the crack epidemic, which wasn't exactly what we were saying, but the general idea of the CIA dealing drugs was something that the American mainstream press had never written about before. And that's why it was such an outrageous story and a scandalous story. And the fact that we showed what happened as a result of this, which was crack in black neighborhoods. So it was an outrageous story. I mean, I admit it, but it was true. And that's why it prompted outrage among blacks, among drug reform activists, among politicians, by the CIA, by every federal agency involved in the drug war, because it showed they weren't doing their jobs, that it was a fraud.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So you heard it yourself from Mr. Gary Webb, how the CIA, without a shadow of a doubt, put crack cocaine in the black community, or at least at the very bare minimum, funneled drugs into the United States to fund an illegal war to help the Nicaraguans fight the Russian-backed Sandinistas. Now, if you don't believe me, I have proof from the Justice Department. According to the Justice Department, they stated for an article called The CIA Contra Crack Cocaine Controversy, a review of the Justice Department's investigations and prosecutions. This is from our Justice Department. This is from our government institution. That way I'm proving to y'all that I'm not lying about any of this. This is all factual. This is all facts, ladies and gentlemen. So according to the article, it states, on August 18th, 1996, the San Jose Mercury News, that's the publishing company that Gary Webb worked for, published the first installment of the three-part series called The Dark Alliance, concerning the crack cocaine, Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and the Nicaraguan Contra Army. The introduction of the first installment series read, for the better part of a decade, in San Francisco Bay Area drug rings sold tons of cocaine to the Crips and Bloods, street gangs of Los Angeles, and funneled millions of drugs profits into Latin American guerrilla army run by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, a Mercury News investigation found. This drug network opened the first pipeline between the Colombian cocaine cartels and the black neighborhoods of Los Angeles, a city now known as the crack capital of the world. The cocaine that flooded helped spark a crack explosion in urban America and provided the cash and connections needed for LA gangs to buy automatic weapons. So, like I said before, the series is called Dark Alliance, the story behind the crack explosion. And it told the story of Los Angeles drug operation run by Ricky Donnell Ross, Rick Ross. And it tells the story of how the crack cocaine epidemic started. So bottom line, Gary Webb found out that the CIA, Nicaraguan Contra rebels, all of them funneled drugs into the United States to fight an illegal war to help the Nicaraguans fight the Russian-backed Sandinistas. They did it to two ways: selling weapons to Iran, and the other way was funneling drugs into the United States, because Congress did not want to fund this war. So the government decided, we're going to fund this war anyway. Screw it the hell Congress says. So they funneled the weapons to Iran to help pay for the war. The other way was shipping drugs out to the United States and causing the crack epidemic, or to the very least, being complicit in the crack epidemic, ladies and gentlemen. So, what I have proven is without a shadow of a doubt that the war on drugs was really a war on black people, and that the CIA government funneled drugs into the United States into the 1980s. This is why everybody was doing coke, and it caused either a direct or indirect consequence of the crack cocaine epidemic. Now, Gary Webb was found dead via suicide. But when it comes to what he wrote, the story he wrote, he spoke the truth, and he got fired from it, from his agency that he worked for, because they quit under pressure, because he's under pressure by the government to shut up, be quiet about this story, be quiet about this story. So, bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, we as black people have been manipulated by the government, by the unseen hand, to smoke drugs, to do drugs, and it caused the crack cocaine, which destabilized us, which is what the war on drugs was all about destabilizing us, keeping us under control, and keeping us subservient to the power structure, ladies and gentlemen. This is the unseen hand. This is real. This is topics that no one dares talks about. Now, of course, some of y'all might think I'm crazy. How could the government do such a thing? Well, the government's always been done this. They've always done this. They've always used the state to historically suppress and stop any black movements. But I'm going to cover that next time in a topic called The Truth About the Police. This is your host, Dabba Daniel, and this is the Black Evolution series, The Unseen Hand. Just talking about topics that are known and unknown. This is the unseen hand. You don't know about it. That's why I'm bringing the truth, and the truth will set you free. So tune in to more epic episodes like this, where I talk about topics no one will ever dare talk about. Tune in, tune in. Links to the articles will be in the description box below. Make sure you subscribe and tune in to more episodes of the Black Evolution series, The Unseen Hand. This is your host, Epidemic, and I'm signing off.